To get the full course, visit www.zdub.com. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Java tutorials. These tutorials are brought to you by ZDub Technologies and Services. This is your first video of the Java tutorials. So in this tutorials, we will cover the basic concepts of Java and we will also see the practical applications. So whatever you want to learn about Java will all be covered in this tutorial course. Let us start with the video. This video is going to be an introductory video where we will discuss what is Java, why we use Java, and all the basic information that we need to know before starting our journey with Java. So the first question that must come to your mind is, what is Java and what is its history? So if we talk about Java, it is actually a programming language and a platform. It is a high-level, robust, object-oriented and a secure programming language, which means that it is a pretty good programming language. It was developed in the year 1995 by Sun Microsystems. Sun Microsystems is now a subsidiary of Oracle. That is why if you want to perform anything in Java or if you want to download Java, you need to go to the website of Oracle. James Gosling is known as the father of Java. He was the person who developed Java. Initially, Java was named as Oak, since Oak was already a registered company at that time. So James Gosling changed the name of the programming language that they were developing from Oak to Java. It can work on basically any platform. So you must be wondering that what are the advantages of Java or why should I learn Java? So basically there are a couple of reasons why people go for Java and which makes it as one of the most beloved programming language for the developers. First of the most important reason is that it works on different platforms. So no matter which operating system or which platform you are using, be it Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, whatever you are using, Java will work on it. It is one of the most popular programming language in the world because of this reason. Because it is not like you need a particular operating system to run Java on it. You can switch operating systems and Java will work similarly on all. It is easy to learn and simple to use. This is one of the greatest advantage of Java. It is open source and free, so you need not pay anything in order to download or use Java. You can just work with it freely. Apart from that, whatever code you write in it, it remains secure, its execution is fast, and the features provided by Java are powerful, which is why it is loved by the developers all over the globe. It has a huge community support. So if you run into any kind of problem, you can just post your questions and there are tons or millions of developers all around the globe who will just come to your aid. Java is an object-oriented language which gives a clear structure to the programs and allows the codes to be reused, lowering the development costs. So object-oriented is a form of programming. The languages which are object-oriented are like Java, C++, C#, etc. So these languages provide a variety of features over the primitive procedural programming languages like C. These features include better data processing capabilities, reusability of code, shorter code, then high levels of data security, protection of data from the unauthorized access, etc. Because of all these features, the programs or the applications developed in Java have a lower cost. The code is small. That is why it is easier to understand. Apart from this, Java is very close to the programming languages like C++ and C Sharp. So if you have knowledge of these programming languages, then it becomes very easy for you to learn and understand the concepts of Java. Also, if you know Java, then there is an open path for you to learn these programming languages very easily. But even if this is your first programming language tutorial and you have no idea about other programming languages, then also you need not worry, because I will be covering everything from the very basics. Now, let us just discuss about the applications of Java. So Java has variety of applications, which means that it can be run or it can create different kinds of applications. According to Sun Microsystems, almost 3 billion devices run Java. That is 3 billion devices all over the globe that run Java. There are many devices where Java is currently used, and the reason because of this is its varied applications. You can develop a ton of applications using Java. Now, these applications include the desktop applications. The desktop applications such as Acrobat Reader, antivirus softwares, or media players, which you use for a specific task. Many of them have been developed with Java programming language. Apart from it, a variety of web applications have also been developed in Java. Actually, Java is one of the most popular programming language whenever we are working with the backends of any web applications. Popular sites include irctc.co.in. Enterprise applications, there are a ton of enterprise applications such as banking applications, management systems, or some basic softwares. They can also be coded in Java. Not only this, Java is also used to develop the mobile applications. So if in case you are wondering that you can only use Java to develop desktop applications or web applications, that is further from the truth. So mobile applications can also be developed in Java, which means that it has such a wide variety of features available in it. Apart from that, embedded systems, smart cards can also be developed in Java. Robotics is a field where Java programming language finds its varied applications as well. Apart from that, there are a wide variety of games that can be developed in Java. So in case you are wondering that what you will do after learning Java, or what is the path after learning Java, what is the path further, then I want to show you this thing, that these are the different kinds of applications that you can learn once you have a basic knowledge of Java. So I would recommend you to go with Java because it is one of the clearest and most beautiful programming language that uses the features or all the basic and important features of the different programming languages, be it the object-oriented feature, be it the general purpose language, or be it the platform independence. Java is class-based, concurrent, secured programming language and is a widely used, robust technology. So if you are wondering that how can we get started with Java, well, this tutorial is your answer. You can just start on this tutorial where we will be covering all the basic concepts of Java. So I hope that these are able to answer all your questions. And that's all in this video, where we introduced ourselves with the basics of Java. There are different features of Java which help you to just work with it. There are these different kinds of applications of Java and different uses as well, which we will be covering in the next video, where we'll be discussing about the different features that I just discussed, like object-oriented feature, what it is, what is platform independence, how Java is simple, secure, and how is it portable or robust. So that's all in this video, where we introduced ourselves to the basics of Java, that what is Java, why should we learn Java, and who is the father of Java. In this video, we are going to explore further the topic of Java and try to understand what are the 4 categories of the Java applications and how can we use them. So there are mainly 4 types of applications that can be created using Java. The first one is desktop applications, which are also known as the standalone applications or Windows-based applications. So basically they are nothing but the traditional softwares, the application softwares which we install on our PC and use them for a different kind of purpose. They all perform a specialized task and they can be used to achieve greater efficiency in that particular task. For example, media player, antivirus softwares, Acrobat readers, etc. AWT and Swing are used in Java to create these standalone applications. Next type of applications we have is known as the web applications. The applications that require the website connection or which are termed as websites are known as web applications. They run on server side and create a dynamic page. Currently, using Java, we can create variety of web applications. The technologies that we use are Servlet, JSP, Spring, Hibernate, JSF, etc. All these can be used to create Java-based web applications. Enterprise application. So an application that is distributed in nature is known as an enterprise application. For example, banking applications, management softwares, etc. It has the advantages such as high-level security, load balancing, etc. In Java, we have EJB that is used to create enterprise-level applications. These applications run on various PCs. Mobile applications, so we all are familiar with these mobile applications. The applications created for the sole purpose of being used on mobile devices are known as the mobile applications. Currently, Android and Java ME are used for creating mobile applications. Java ME is actually a standard edition or an edition of Java. So now we will understand about the different platforms or Java editions. There are 4 main platforms or Java editions, each having a specific purpose. The first one is Java SE or the Java Standard Edition. It is a Java programming platform that includes the programming APIs such as java.lang, java.io, java.net, java.util, etc. The basic concepts of Java or the applications of Java like object-oriented programming, string, regular expressions, multi-threading, networking, collection, exceptions, inner classes, etc. are all included in Java Standard Edition. When we are working with the tutorials or whenever we are going to write the code for Java, we will be using this Java SE or the Java Standard Edition. Next platform or edition is the Java EE, which is Java Enterprise Edition. It is an enterprise platform which is mainly used to develop the web-based and the enterprise-based applications on Java. It is built on top of the Java SE platform, so the basics of Java SE are all included in Java EE. Along with it, it includes the various topics or features such as Servlet, JSP, web services, EJB, JPA, etc. Next, we have Java ME, which is the micro edition. It is a micro platform which is based to develop or which is used to develop the mobile-based applications using Java programming language. Last but not the least, we have Java FX, which is used to develop the internet applications by using the lightweight user interface API. So these are the 4 platforms with their specific purposes. Now, once we have understood the platforms of Java, let us take a brief look at the different features of Java. All these features have been named once or twice up till now in our discussions. So let us understand that what are these features and why are they used to make Java such a good programming language. The first feature we are going to discuss is the object-oriented feature. In Java, everything is an object. Java can easily be extended because it is based on an object module or an object model. There are different classes. We create instances of that classes known as object. Then we use these objects for different kinds of purposes. They help us to extend the usage of the classes, create different versions of the same class or the same function. They help us to achieve a higher level of data security. They help us to hide the sensitive information from the unauthorized users, etc. The different features of object-oriented programming include polymorphism, inheritance, data abstraction, data hiding, etc. Along with it, the second most important feature is platform independence. Like, if you discuss about some other programming languages, say C or C++, they are platform dependent. But when Java is compiled, it is not compiled into a platform-specific machine. Rather, it is compiled into a platform-independent code known as bytecode. The compilation process is the conversion of Java code into something that a computer can understand. So, it is compiled into something known as bytecode, which is platform-independent. This bytecode is then distributed over the web and interpreted by a virtual machine that is known as the JVM on whichever platform it is being run. So you can create a Java code on Windows platform and then distribute it to anyone all around the globe. Then they can download that code and use the same piece of code either in a Mac based system or on a Raspberry Pi or on a Unix or Linux system. Next feature is that Java is simple. It is designed in such a way that it is easy to learn, it is simple to use, and if you want to understand the basics of the OOPS concept, then Java is the thing that you should go for. Apart from that, Java is secure. Its security feature enables the developers to develop virus-free, tamper-proof systems. There are various authentication techniques that are based on the public key encryption. So only authorized access is provided in Java-based applications. Apart from that, these applications are portable. Since they are platform independent, so the Java applications are portable. The compiler of Java is written in ANSI C, which is a clear portability boundary. Robust. Java makes an effort to eliminate the error-prone situations by emphasizing mainly on the compile time error checking and the runtime checking. This makes Java one of the most robust programming languages. Apart from this, the last but not the least important feature of Java is that it is architecture neutral. The Java compiler generates an architecture neutral object file format, which makes the compiled code executable on many processors with the presence of the Java runtime system. This Java runtime system is known as JRE or Java Runtime Environment. Using this Java runtime environment, we can easily run any of the applications or the code that is written in Java programming language. This makes it architecture neutral, and due to this architecture neutral feature only, Java becomes a portable programming language. So this was all about the basics of Java that you need to know. From this video onwards, we have covered all the basics that we need to know. From the next video, we will be just covering the installation of Java, that is, how can we install Java and then use it on our machine. Then we will begin with the technical part, that is the coding part in Java. In this video, we are going to see that how can we install the necessary softwares to run Java on our system. So first of all, what we need to do is make sure that we install two things on our system. These two things are, the first one is the Java JDK. This is Java JDK, who is also known as the Java SE JDK, or the Java Standard Edition Development Kit. If you remember, the Java Standard Edition is one of the popular Java platforms which we understood about in our introductory videos. So this is the thing that contains all the necessary information that help us to just install and run Java on our system. Once we have installed this development kit, we will be good to go with running Java on our system. But to write Java programs, we need something, preferably a text editor or an IDE. So any kind of text editor can be used for this purpose. If you are going to work with a text editor, then even a notepad is a valid text editor. So notepad can also be used to write Java programs. But in case you are wondering about IDE, so the popular ones in the case of Java are Eclipse IDE and the IntelliJ IDE. So these are the two popular IDEs in which we can just write the code of Java. So IDE basically stands for the Integrated Development Environment. It is the environment that allows us to write the programs, to edit them and to compile them. So basically whatever operations you want to perform in any program, you can just do that with the help of IDE. So in this tutorial, we will be working with the IDEs. Why? Because IDEs are very helpful whenever we are trying to write the code. And since I'm assuming that you all are beginners, because this course is aimed at beginners, so the IDEs will give you the necessary insights into just working with the code of any programming language. So first of all, we will start with installing JDK on our system. Let's see how we install it. So this is the link that you need to follow for downloading the JDK. This is for the official Oracle website. If you remember, Oracle is having the Sun microsystem as its subsidiary. So I already told you in the introductory video that whatever you want to do with Java, it's all official information is found on the Oracle website. In case you are wondering how to get to this link, what you can do is just go to Oracle Windows Java download, or if you are using a Mac operating system, you can just go with Mac over here. And this is the first link that you can follow. You can simply just click on it and you will be taken to this page, which is the Java Standard Edition Development Kit page, right? Now, in order to download the JDK, what you need to do is just follow this link of JDK download. Now, what this link will do, it will just redirect it, your browser, into this kind of a page, which is the Java SE Development Kit 15 downloads page. Java SE Development Kit 15 is the latest version at the time of recording this video, but in case you're working with some other version, or if you're getting some other version written over here, then don't worry, it may be the latest version. You can just go with it. Now, if you just come down here, we have these different kinds of products or the descriptions, where it means that there are these different operating systems on which the Java can run. That is why we have got JDK for different kinds of systems. Although Java is platform independent, but JDK is not. So the JDK is platform dependent. You need to know your platform well. You need to know your operating system well before just starting to work with this JDK, right? So Windows 64 is what I'm going to go with. Why? Because Windows is my operating system and 64 is the 64-bit operating system. There are two versions, either the 32-bit or the 64-bit, but I'm going with the 64-bit because that's my Windows version. In order to check the Windows version, what you can do is you can just go to this PC, and in this PC we have we can just right click and go to properties. Okay, in this properties panel, you will be able to see the version of your Windows. In the system type, in the system information, we have system type, so 64-bit operating system. So make sure you are using the correct link to download. This is the one. Now there are two links in the Windows 64 version itself, and this is one is the exe file and the other is the zip file. So I'm just going to download this exe file real quick. I can just accept this thing, the agreement, and click on download. Now I need to wait for a few seconds till the download asks me for the path. So whatever path you want, you can just store your setup over there only. And as you can see, I have already downloaded it, so I'm not going to download it again, but you need to download it for your PC. So it is around 160 MB in size. It's going to take a few minutes to 3 minutes depending upon your internet speed to download JDK. Now once you have downloaded JDK, it is required to install it. Let's see how can we install it. So here is our location, and this is actually the JDK that we have downloaded. You can just double click on it so that its installation starts. Now what you need to do is we need to wait for a few seconds till the installation has started. Here you can see that the software is already installed on my computer, but I will just click on reinstall so that I can show you the installation process. But since you are going to download it for the first time on your PC, so all these things will not happen, because what this JDK is doing, it is first removing the version that I already have on my PC. Then it is trying to reinstall it. So we just wait for a few seconds till it's been removed. Now after removing, I have got this installer, but in your case, you will be directly going to get this installer. So for this installer, you can simply click on next. This is a folder that is where all our Java programs or information will be stored. If you want to change it, you can just go on to click this button, change. Otherwise, you can simply click on next. Then what happens is this JDK is going to take a few minutes to install on your system. So you need to wait for that much amount of time. And once it's done, it will show you an end screen. Okay. Then after installing this JDK, we also need to do a few settings on our PC. So we just wait for a few seconds till it's being completed, its installation. Then we can begin with changing the settings of our PC so that we are able to run Java smoothly. Okay, so now what happens is our installation has been complete. Once it's complete, what you can do is just click on close. Now once you have installed the JDK, you need to just check that whether it is installed or not by going into the command prompt. So in case you are wondering how to open it, you can just go into the search bar and type cmd and your command prompt would be opened. In the command prompt, whatever path you get, all you need to do is type Java C. This stands for Java compiler actually. So here you can see that I'm getting all this information, but you may not get it. So you don't need to worry, because this information is present once you just set some variables, and these variables are known as the environment variables. So let's see that how can we work with them. Again, with the environment variables, you need to go to this PC, right click and go to properties. Now in the properties tab, you have this something called advanced system settings. You can just go to advanced system settings. In the advanced system settings, you can see this is the advanced tab. In the advanced tab, we have environment variables option. You can just go to environment variables. And in these environment variables, we have a variable that is known as path. So you can see this is a system variables. So this is the path variable which we want to work with. So you can click on edit. Here you can see that we have these different paths. These all paths help us to work with these different kinds of things, right? So I have already set my path for Java, but for you, you need to set it for the first time, because that is the first time that you are using Java on your PC. So how can you do that? First of all, we need to copy the path, right? So to copy it, we can just go to this C drive. In the C drive, we have something called as program files. In the program files folder, you can just search for, you can see there are these different folders available, and you need to just search for the Java folder. Here is it. Here you can see I have got so many versions of JDK, but JDK 15 was the version that we just installed. So you can just go to JDK 15, and this is the bin version, or inside the JDK bin. If you see, we have got this Java application. So this is the whole path that you need to work with. So how can we work with these paths is what we will see in the next video. In the previous video, we saw how can we install JDK. Now in this video, we are going to see how can we set a path once we have installed JDK. To set a path, we have opened environment variables. And if you are not sure how to do that, you can just refer to the previous video. Now I have also copied the path to my Java application. All you need to do is go to new, and you can just paste your path here and then click on OK. Then what happens is now your path is present here, right? And another thing that you can do is you can just go here in the variables, user variables for the particular user, and you can create a new variable and name it as Java home. So Java underscore home. And then what you can do is you can just go back to your JDK version over here. Wherever these folders are present, you can just copy whole of this file path. Then you can just paste it in the value part and then click on OK. So this is what you need to do. After this, we can just close this window, or you can click OK. So the environment variables have been set. Now what you can do is bring up your command prompt once again. Now what you will be able to do is you can just write Java C, and you will see all this information on your system as well. If you want to check Java version, so you can just write something like this. This is the command used to check the version of Java that is currently being installed onto your system. So 15 is in my case, but whatever is the latest version, it will be installed onto your system. So this is how you can install JDK. Now once the JDK is installed, you are able to write the programs. If you even want to write some Java programs on a text editor like a notepad, then also you are able to write them. So let us just write a very simple Java program that is going to print nothing but hello world on a notepad, and try to see that how it is going to run on a notepad, right? So what we can do is we can just open up notepad. This is something we had done previously, so we need to just clear it up, and we are just going to create a simple Java program in notepad. So the simple Java program is going to be just having the hello word in it. Hello word will be printed. So how can we do that? So first of all, what we need to do is we can just write we first need to create a class. Okay, so we can write public class and the name of the class, whatever class name you want to give. So suppose I give it as first app, right? Because this is my first Java program, so I can just give first app and open and close the curly braces. Now inside these curly braces, you first need to create a main function. So public static void main is what you write, and in this main function you need to provide string args. So basically string, then you need to provide these square brackets and args, right? And then open and close the curly braces. So basically what is happening is, first of all, we are getting this class that is known as first app. this main is a method of this first app class. Now, whenever you are creating any class, you need to make sure that whatever you want to execute, you always do it inside the main function, and this is how you declare a main function with public, static, and void. This is the way of declaring a function in Java, and these public, static, void have their predefined meanings. So what are all of them, we will understand later on while proceeding with the tutorial. Right now you need to understand that whenever you are trying to write any Java program, you need to write these things, right? Then suppose we want to print anything, so how can we do that? We can just write system.out.println. so this is a method. In this method you can pass anything, so that will be printed on the screen. So what I want to pass is, I want to pass a hello world message. So hello world is the name of my message that I'm going to pass, right? Now what happens is, this hello world message will be printed on the screen. That is why I have wrote it in the double quotes. Whatever you write in double quotes, it will be printed as it is on the screen. Then you can just write a semicolon. So this is how a Java program is written. This is a typical Java program. Now what we need to do is we can just save this file. So we can just go to file and save it. So we need to provide another extension. We cannot provide like the Java extension. We need to provide some other extension. We need to provide the Java extension in this case. Okay, so what we can do is, we can just go to our drive, that is in the C drive. There is this users folder, and in this users folder we have this user. Okay, so right now I'm just going to quickly save my file over here, but later on we will be working at some other location. So the file name must be the same name as the class that you have created. So the class name we have created is first app. So first app.java is how you save the file, not with the text extension but with the Java extension, and the name of the file must be same as the class name. Then you can click on save. The reason why we chose this location is because in the command prompt we are currently in this location, right? Now what we need to do to execute the file is, first of all, write java c. The name of your file was first app.java. so first app.java, and press enter. Now you need to wait for a few seconds, right? Now our Java is compiled, which means the bytecode is generated, right? In order to see the output, what we need to do is write the keyword Java, put a space, and then again the name of the file, which is first app. Now when you press enter, then what happens is, we are getting hello world. Why we are getting hello world? Because this was what we saved in the case of our notepad file. If we provided any other kind of output, then that would have been executed. Okay, so this is very simply on how you can create and execute your Java files. Suppose you make some changes to it, like hello world, this is Java. I make some changes onto my file. Then what you need to do is, first of all, you need to save those changes. Then what you need to do is, you can just compile it once again. Okay, so Java C first app.java is what you need to execute once. Once it's executed, you can just go with the next command, that is Java first app. Then what happens is, this recent output or whatever changes you do, they are incorporated. So that's how you just run Java programs using the command prompt in the notepad text editor. Now we chose this user location to store our Java files, but you may want to store them in a different location, right? So how can you do that? Suppose this is my first app. This only I'm just going to save it in some other location. So I can just go to save as, and let me just choose some other location. This is where I'm just going to store it in my documents folder. So again, you need to go with the same thing, that is first app is going to be the file name, which is the name of the class, and .java is going to be its extension. But along with that, what you need to do is you need to just copy this whole path wherever you are trying to save your file. Then click on save. Now what I have done is I have just changed my path in the command prompt. So first of all, since my target path is stored in the D directory, I have changed my directory, and then what you can do is just paste this whole path. So this is now the path is being set. Now in order to just work with the file, we first need to compile it using javac first app.java. Then once it's compiled, what we need to do is just call java first app like this, and what will happen is now we are going to get the output. So whatever path, wherever you want to store your files, you just need to make sure that that path is set in the command prompt. And that's all for this video. Video we are going to see the installation of the Eclipse IDE, which we will be using in this tutorial course. So if you just go to Google and search for the best IDE for Java, you will see on the first position is the Eclipse IDE, which is from the common public license, and on the second is IntelliJ IDE. Then we have NetBeans and BlueJ. So we are going to work with the Eclipse IDE because it is very popular and very useful. So we can just Google Eclipse IDE in order to install it. So this is the first link that we get is from eclipse.org. So you need to follow this link only in order to download it. So you can see this is the whole information that we can get about this Eclipse IDE. We can just directly go onto this download button. Here what do we have is we have this version available with us and these different platforms also. So what we are going to do is just download this Eclipse IDE, and then again you need to click on this download button. So here it will ask you for a location. So this is my location. Let's just click on save. Now its size is 102 MB, and it may take few minutes to download depending upon your internet speed. So I will meet you after it's been downloaded completely. Now as you can see, our Eclipse IDE has been installed. Its executable file has been installed. We can just open it up, and what we can do now is just start the installation process. Okay, so this installation process is pretty simple. All you need to do is follow these steps, simple steps, that's it. Now once the installer starts, this Eclipse installer will ask you that for what role you want to download your Eclipse IDE or you want to install it. So as you can see, there are these different roles or these different languages for which you can use the Eclipse IDE. There are a variety of languages such as PHP, C, C++ or Java. So since we are going to work with Java, I'm just going with the first option, that is Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Then all these things we are just going to keep as it is. We are not going to change anything, only just click on this install button. So this will ask you to accept the license agreement. You can just click on accept now, and you can see the installing has begun. So you need to wait for a few seconds till this installation is complete, and once it is complete, you will see that this installing button is all filled with green. So what information did we just accepted? It was the folder where the Eclipse IDE will be installed. Also, if you remember, we installed this JDK 15 in one of the previous videos. So Eclipse IDE automatically recognized this version from the folder, and it is just going to work upon that version only, right? Then what do we have is we just want to create a start menu entry and a desktop shortcut. So these are the simple things, and you just need to wait for a few seconds. So let's meet after the installing has been complete. Now you can see the Eclipse has been installed. We can simply just click on this launch button and the Eclipse IDE will be launched. So as you can see, the installation was a pretty simple process. All you need to do was just select which language you want to install Eclipse for, right? Now what we want to do is Eclipse asks us where we want to select our workspace. So it just creates a folder for workspace, and I'm just going to check on this box, which means that this is going to be my default workspace, so that Eclipse does not ask me again and again for selecting a workspace, right? Then what happens is Eclipse IDE, as you can see, it is starting. So again, you need to wait for a few seconds. The reason why we chose Eclipse is pretty simple. It allows us many features with Java that are not provided with other IDEs. So what are these features? You will be able to understand in just a few seconds. Okay, so let's just wait till this Eclipse IDE is started. Right, so now our Eclipse IDE has started. So basically what we can do is we can just perform a variety of operations. But first of all, what we are going to do is create a Java project. So if you want, you can just start creating the Java project from here only, or there is an option of create a Hello World application explicitly, which will give you a guided walkthrough to create the Hello World program in Java. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to create a new Java project. So let's just create create a new Java project. Then you are supposed to keep a name for your project. So as the first app was given previously, I'm again going to give it a first app. Then there is this Java execution environment. So Java SE14 is what it is going to take. But if you want to use a project specific Java JRE, so that is JDK 15.0.1, this is what we are going to do, right? Then the rest of the things are going to be same. We can just click on next. Then what happens is it shows us that how our project will look like. So first app is the name of the project, and there will be a source folder. So yeah, we are happy with it. We can click on finish. Now here it will ask you for a module name. So you can just make sure to check on this box to generate the comments, and then click on create. So what will happen is the comments will be generated. Now what are these comments? We will learn later on. These are these comments which will tell you something about your module, but right now we don't need this module file. We need to just create a simple Java file, not this module file. So we can just right click on it and delete it and click on OK. So now our Java file has been deleted. That module file has been deleted. We can just create a new file by clicking on this new option. So you can just right click on the source folder. Here we have new option. So I just want to create a new class, right? Now the name of my class I'm supposed to provide. So let us just provide the name as first app. That's going to be the name of my class. It is going to be of public type. If you remember, in the case of the notepad, we provided public class first app. So we don't need to do that here. We can just select public. Then what we need to do is we want to create a main method as well. If you remember, in the notepad code, we provided a main method which was in this form only, right? So this is the advantage of the Eclipse IDE. You can just just tick on this checkbox, and you will be able to get this whole code written for yourself without even having to type anything on your keyboard. Then you can simply click on finish. Then what happens is you can see public class first app and public static void main string args code is auto generated. So this is the advantage of IDE. If you want to just reduce your work, then you need to use an IDE. Your work would be reduced 10 times while using an IDE. Now, in order to just go with the flow, we need first program to be Hello World program. So we know that we need to use the system.out.println statement, or the println function. As you can see, we get all the bunch of options or the bunch of methods that are accessible. So we can just select any one of them. So println is the method that I'm going to use, and within the double quotes I'm just going to write hello space word. That's it. So this is my simple hello world program. Just by writing a single piece of code, I'm able to just write it in my Eclipse IDE. Now in order to run it, you can see we have this option that is run first app.java. So you can just click on OK, and then you can see this is the terminal where we are getting the output as hello world. So you do not need to write that Java C, you do not need to just open the command prompt, set the path, nothing you need to do when you are working with the IDE. So whatever you want, you can just write. If you want to make some changes, I am a Java file, you can just add something, you can make any of the changes like this, and then again just click on this run button, click on OK, or you can just check this box and click on OK. Then what happens is, okay, so whatever message you provide to it, it would be shown on the screen, right? Hello world, I'm a Java file. So that's how the IDE works. That is what is beautiful about the Eclipse IDE. That's all for this video. In this video, we are going to first of all see a few basic syntaxes or a few basic rules that you must keep in mind while writing your Java programs. So the first rule that you must know in Java is that it is a case sensitive language, which means that whatever you write, you must be very sure about its case, that whether it is supposed to be written in the uppercase or lowercase in Java. Otherwise, the meaning could be different and it may give out you an error. For example, here I have written system.out.println, but suppose I just change this case of system keyword from this capital S to a small s. Then what happens is I'm getting an error. You can see this is the error I'm getting. Now if I just run it, then what happens is there is an error, and if I just proceed on it, so yeah, the error is that exception in the main thread and unresolved compilation problem, that system cannot be resolved. So this is a problem arising because of case sensitivity of Java. Java is case sensitive in nature. So always remember the cases of the things. Now there are some rules that helps you to remember the case. The first rule is the rule of the class names. So as you can see, first app is the name of a class. Also, system is also a class in Java. This is built-in class, which means that system class has been defined by the developers, so we can use it anytime that we want. While this first app is somewhat written by us, so this is exclusive to us only. Okay, what does it means? Now you must notice one thing, that in first app there is a combination of two words, first and app, and both are starting with a capital letter. Similarly, system is also a name of a class which is also starting with a capital letter. Why? Because this is a convention in Java that all the class names must start with a capital letter. And if there are multiple names or multiple syllables combined, like in the case of first app, then you should combine them together without a space, and the second word or the third word must start with a capital letter. Now this convention helps you to make fewer mistakes while using these classes later on, because when you come inside this program, you know that okay, I need to use the system class, so you're pretty sure that you need to write a capital S with the system keyword or the system class name. The next thing is the method names. So as you can see, this main is a method. Okay, what is a method? Method is basically a collection of code that helps you to perform a particular task. Okay, so built-in methods, there are numerous built-in methods. One is a main method. Main method is the place from where the compiler starts the compilation of the Java program. Whichever statement is written first in the main statement will be executed first, then second, then third, and so on. So apart from main, we can just declare multiple methods in a class, or we can declare multiple classes and have multiple methods in them as well. But these concepts are the concepts of later on. Right now we can say that main, the name is the name of a method, and it is starting from a small m. So this is the convention for the method names, that all the method names should start with a lowercase letter. If we need several syllables to be combined in the name of the method, then what happens is the first letter must be small. Then suppose I want to write another word, say method. So the second syllable that I write, that must be starting with an uppercase letter. So this is the convention. Again, this convention helps you ultimately in dealing with the case sensitive nature of Java, because you see out and println are the names of methods. Okay, since they are methods, they are starting with small cases. So whenever you are using this or any other method in Java, you are pretty sure that what you should go for. Next, we have the name of the program file. So the name of the program file should be the same as the name of the class that we have already discussed. So apart from this, you also make sure that since Java is case sensitive, so the file name should be the same name as well as in the same case as that of the class name. Otherwise, it may give us an error. Also, if you are working with the text editor files like the notepad files, so you need to add a .java extension at the end of the name. Also, in case you don't have a public class, like right now we are declaring this first app as a public class, but if that is not present in the file name, then the file name can be different from the class name. And it is also not mandatory to have a public class in the file. Okay. Then what is this public class and what is its usage? This is actually an access specifier public, which means that this class can be accessed from anywhere in the program. Okay. Next, we have public static void main string args, which is the second statement. The Java processing starts with the main method. This is the mandatory part in each Java document or each Java program file. Whenever we are working with Java, it is mandatory for this statement to be present. Public means that it is accessible all around the program. Static means no instance of this method needs to be created, and it can be called easily without instantiation. Instantiation is again a topic of classes and objects, which we will learn later on. Void means that this main method is not returning anything. Void is means that it returns null. Main is the name of the method, which is going to be same, because if we just change its case or change its name to something else, then Java will not understand its purpose. Like you can just write main method over here, and now if we just try to run it, then what happens is again we are getting an error that this public static void main string args was not found. Why? Just because we just changed the name of our method from main to main method. Okay, so it is mandatory for this statement to be present, otherwise your program will not even work. Okay, then we have this string args. This is a array of strings. Basically, it is used to just take input from the user. So how can we take input from the user is what we are going to see just now. As you can see, with the help of the system.out.println method, we are just trying to print some message. Okay. Now, in case you are wondering that we are printing a message which is a general message that hello world, I am a Java file. But instead of this, if you want to just take input from the user, or if you want to just make this message a more special for the user, like you want to print its name or print something about the information that the user has given. So for this purpose, what we need to do first of all is import a package. Okay, so how can we do that? Simply we can just write the import keyword. The name of the package is java.util.scanner. Or what you can do is you can simply write java.util.asterisk over here, and then end this statement with a semicolon. Okay, so here you can see it is imported, but it is never used. That's why we are getting an error. So let us just use it. We are not going to print this statement. instead of this, we are just going to help to take an input from the user. So for this purpose, we need to create a scanner class. This is the name of the class, scanner. S equals new scanner, and in the parentheses we can just provide system.in, right? Then what we can do is just take the input using this S. So we can just write, suppose we want the user to enter his name, so we can write system.out.println enter your name. Okay, enter your name, and whatever the name user enters, we're just going to create a string variable, string n equals, we are just going to store in it using this method, s.next method. Then finally what we are going to do is we are just going to, actually it's capital S. Then what we are going to do is just print this name. So what we can do is just write n over here. Now if we just run it, it asks us to enter our name. Suppose I enter ZDUP, then you can see ZDUP is printed. So that's all for this video. We will explain it, this code, in the next video. Thanks for watching. In the previous video, we created an object of the scanner class and took an input from the user, which was his name. Then we printed that name on the screen. So we are just trying to explain this code over here in this video. Then we are also going to understand about the different types of variables in Java. So first of all, let us just start from the very first statement, that is this import statement. What is this import statement? This import statement is actually helps us to import the packages in Java. So what happens is, in Java there are multiple packages that have already been written by the developers all around the world, and they are available for us to use. So if we want to use any package into our program, we can just import it using this import statement. You remember we installed the JDK first before installing this Eclipse IDE. So all these packages are present there, and we have installed a copy of those packages onto our system so that we can use them as per our disposal. Then what we have is this first app, the name of the class, and then we have the main statement, which is mandatory, we know that. Then what is over here is the scanner class. Scanner is the name of a class which is a built-in class. It has a particular structure, or it has a particular functionality to do. Now this scanner class is a part of this util package. That is why we have imported this whole package. Asterisk means all the contents of this util package needs to be imported. Otherwise, if you just wanted to import the scanner class, what you can do is simply just write scanner over here, as we are trying to use it only. So you can write scanner also, or you can write an asterisk also, right? Now using this scanner class, we are just going to take the input. So first of all, we create an object of this scanner class S. This is known as the object creation, which is a part of the object oriented programming concept. But before going into the deep, let us understand that this is how you create an object of a class. This new operator, this new keyword is actually known as an operator, the new operator, which is used to initialize some memory to this S object, which is a part of the scanner class. So this whole statement is known as the instantiation of the S object. S is an object of the scanner class. Then in the parentheses, we have provided system.in, which means that, okay, we want to take an input. So this is this statement. Next, we have the system.out.println statement, which is pretty simple. We are asking the user to enter his name. Now, whatever the user enters, it is stored in a variable. This n is known as a variable. Why is it known as a variable? Because whenever we just declare this n, then it reserves a somewhat memory space. Whenever we want throughout the course of the program, we can just change the value in that memory space. Since it allows the changing to happen, that is why it is known as a variable. Now this variable has a particular type, that is what type of data will it store. So we need to explicitly define that what type of variable we are declaring, or what we are expecting this variable to store. So in our case, we are expecting n to store string data. Now what is this string data? Suppose we are considering our name, so it is a combination of alphabets, right? Or if we are just talking about any of the English sentences, it is actually a combination of the letters, the punctuation marks, etc. These are known as strings. They are always stored in double quotes. As you can see in the system.out.println method also, we are writing in double quotes a simple English language statement. So this is actually a string. So since we know that our name is going to is just going to have like the letters, the spaces, etc., that is why we have used to store it in the string variable named as n. Now this s.next, s you remember is the object of the scanner class. Next is one of the methods. This is how we call a method. Remember, we don't need to call this main method explicitly, but any other method needs to be called explicitly. Similarly, println is also a method. That is why we need to call it using these parentheses, and if any value needs to be provided to this method, you need to provide it like this. These are known as parameters. Okay. So in the next method, we don't want any parameters. That's why these parentheses are empty, and we can just provide we can just end the statement with a semicolon. That's it. The last statement is again a system.out.println statement, which means that finally we want to print the value of this n. If you want to print something like a full message that your name is like this, then you can do that as well. But for that purpose, you need to join this n and this sentence so that they work together perfectly. That is why we use a plus operator between them. Okay, then if you just run it, then what happens is it enters it asks you to enter your name. Suppose I enter ZDUP, so your name is ZDUP. That's how it works. Okay, now let us just understand about the different types of data types that we have in Java, right? So what we are going to do is let us just write our code here only, or what we can do is just comment out this piece of code. So what is commenting? This is a comment, which means that if any set of statement you enter as a comment, that is you write 2 slashes like this, then what happens is that statement is not read by the compiler. The compiler just skips that statement. So if you want to just skip some statements, you can write the comments in it, or you can just comment it out. Okay, what statements you want to skip? Generally it is these statements, like these are valid statements but we don't want them to be executed, or there must be the cases where there are some messages that you want to give out to the end user whenever he is looking at your program, that what you are doing, in order to explain your code. That is where you want to use the comments, right? So let us just get back to our variables part. So we have variables. The first one is the string variable, which we have already seen. Now this string variable helps us to just take the string input from the user, and then what we have is we can just create an object of it, that is s. So in s, suppose we want to store a value, suppose we want to store a simple statement. How can we do that? In the double quotes we need to write like this: ZDUP space technologies, like this. Okay, so this is a valid string value and it has been stored in this variable s. Now in order to print it, what we can do, actually we need to write this system.out.println statement. And we can simply print s. Okay, now if we just run it, we will get ZDUP technologies on our output screen. You can just cross check it. So yeah, ZDUP technologies is printed. Now the beauty of this string variable is you can write anything into these double quotes. It will be a part of the statement, right? You can write numbers as well. You can write special characters like these parentheses, asterisks, ampersand, anything. And they all will be treated as strings. So basically whatever you provide in these double quotes, it will be treated as a string. Like here you can see. So similarly with the println statements as well, that is you can just print anything that you want, and as long as it is written in the double quotes. Okay, now let us just quickly create variables of the different data types and let's try to explain them. So we have declared these different kinds of variables that belong to different data types. First is a string, then we have integer. Integer variable is used to store numbers, like 12 is stored here. Then we have float, which is used to store decimal points. Okay, now notice that in the case of the float, you need to always end it with a small f or a capital F. That means that, okay, it is a float variable. Okay, then we have double, which is again used to store decimal values, but it has more range than float, which means that you can store values up to more decimal points in double than in float. Then we have the character variable C, which is used to store different kinds of characters, such as over here I have provided a Unicode character. This is a coding for a particular character, or you can write any character in it, which is all the valid statements, small a to small b, capital A to capital B, numbers, letters, everything. But you need to always enclose it in single quotes. Then last but not least, Boolean, which has only two values, true and false. So these are the different data types in Java. How can we print them or how can we use them, we will see in the next video. Thanks for watching. So in the previous video, we just discussed about the different data types, that how can we declare the different data types like this over here. Now what we have done is used the different system.out.println statements. What will they help us in doing is that they will just print all these different variables. So whatever variable you provide, its value will be printed on the output screen. As you can see, string, integer, float, double, character and boolean, all these values are printed over here on the output screen when we have provided the println statements. But since they are not very clear, so what we can do is give the messages like this. For example, in the value part or in the integer part, we can just give a message like value is, and using the concatenation operator, this plus is actually known as the concatenation operator, we can just provide a message as well. So now you can see we are getting value colon 12, right? So that's how you can work with the different types of variables in Java. Now this is all about the variables. There are a variety of operations that can be performed on these variables. So let us just clear up this code. There are these different operations possible in variables, and these operations are of different categories. The popular one are the arithmetic operations, the logical operations, the assignment operations, the comparison operations, and the bitwise operations. So these are the different types of operations possible over the elements or over the variables in Java. Basically, they are all possible over the integer or the floating numbers. So we will take a look at their examples. When we talk about arithmetic operations, then to perform the arithmetic operation or basically any kind of operation, we need special symbols which are known as operators. So we will be looking at the different kinds of operators and what values we are going to have from them. So let us start with it. So first of all, we will take a look at the arithmetic operators. Let us just declare two integer variables, say a, and initialize it with a value 10, and another variable b, initialize it with a value 30. Now we will store the sum, or basically we will directly print the sum using system.out.println. the sum in the case, because the first operator we are going to use is the addition operator, right? So if we write like a plus b over here, then what happens is we can just run it and see that the output is 40, which means the result of adding 30 and 10 is 40. So that's how you can use it. Or what you can do is simply just create another variable, say c, and in this c we can just store a plus b, and we can just print this variable c ultimately, instead of writing the operation directly in the println statement. So if we just run it, then also we are getting 40. Similarly, we can just provide different things to it. Suppose we can write b minus a, so that is the second operation, that is the subtraction operation. On running it we get 20, which is absolutely correct. The third operation we have is the multiplication operation, that is used to multiply them. So if we just change the value of c to a multiplied by b, then we get 300, which is again absolutely correct. Then we have the division operation. So suppose we write b divided by a, then what happens is the quotient is returned to us. That is what we get when we divide b by a. So the quotient is 3, which is absolutely correct. Another thing we have is known as the modulus operator. So what does this modulus operator do? It returns the remainder when the two numbers are divided by one another. Suppose we write b modulus a. So this percent sign is actually known as the modulus operator or the modulus sign. And when we perform this operation, we get the remainder, which is 0 in this case, right? Then we have the increment operation. So if we just write c plus plus, so that means the value of the c will be incremented by 1. And when we print it, we get 1 as the answer. Similarly, if we just decrease the value of, say, a, we write a minus minus, this means the value of a will be decreased by 1. So if we just print, earlier it was 10, now we will get 9 as the answer, because this minus is the decrement operator, which decreases the value by 1. So these are all the arithmetic operators available in Java. Next we have the logical operators, right? We have 3 logical operators known as the AND, OR and the NOT operators. They always return a boolean value, that is either true or false. So we will just try to store its result in a boolean variable, say b, and the result that will be stored will be called as boolean, that's the right spelling. So what we can do is we can just store the output of like conditions to it. Suppose we check that if the value of, we already have declared this a and b variables, so we can just check anything, that if the value of a is greater than, say, 7, and the value of like b is greater than 5, right? So the value of b is greater than 5. So these are the two conditions. These two conditions can be joined with the help of the logical operators. The first logical operator we have is the ampersand operator, right? Or the AND operator. So how do we write it? We use a double ampersand sign to just combine them, and this becomes an ampersand operator. And what will it do? It will just combine these two conditions and help us to know the correct output, that if both of these conditions are true, then also only we get true if the ampersand operator is being used. Okay, so let's just adjust it a little bit like this. Okay, we are getting some error. Let's just try to rectify it. Okay, so what we can do is to avoid the multiple declaration of the variable b, we have changed this boolean variable b into capital B. Then what we can do is just print out the value of this capital B. So this is the print statement. We can just print out the value of the capital B. Then what we get as the answer is true, which means that yes, both the conditions are true. However, if we just change it to something else, so this first condition becomes false, the second becomes true. In this case, the ampersand operator will return false. However, there is another operator which is known as the OR operator. In case we use the OR operator, then we get a true in the case either of the conditions are true. So if we just pass the same condition with this double pipe sign, which is known as the OR operator, and we know that only one condition in this case is true, then only we will get true in the output. That is because OR needs only one true input to be true. Then we have the NOT operator, which is used as the complement of whatever we write. Suppose we write this a less than 7, which is a false thing, so we can just write the NOT operator and we will get its complement. So here is how you write the NOT operator. Then we will get true as the answer, because this complements the Boolean condition. It changes true to false and false to true. Assignment operation is very simple, just like when we declare any variable. Suppose we write like int d equals 90. So this is assignment because we are assigning a value to the d variable. However, we have a bunch of shorthand assignment operators as well. Suppose we create a variable e and we want to store the value as we just write 10 into it, right? Then we want to perform an operation that e equals e plus d. So this is a addition operation. Instead of writing it like this, we can write a shorthand notation like this. So this is the shorthand assignment operator, which will just add the value of d to e and then assign it to the variable. This is known as shorthand assignment operator. All the arithmetic operators can work with this shorthand assignment operator. Then we have the comparison operators. These comparison operators are used to compare the two values. Like we saw, this is less than value, this is greater than value. Similarly, we have greater than equal to. Suppose we want to check for a value, so this is greater than equal to. If we want, we also have a less than equals to value, which is used to check that whether the given value is less than or equal to the given value. Then we have a comparison value, which is used to check that whether the value of a is equal to 9 or not. These are known as the comparison operators. Finally, we have some bitwise operators in Java which perform operations on individual bits, but these operators are beyond the scope of this course, so we are not going to take a look at them. So this is all about the operators that we need to know in Java. In this video, we are going to talk about the decision control statements, which is known as the if-else statements in Java. So first of all, let us understand that why do we need these kind of statements? Well, what happens is in Java, or in basically any programming language, there are situations where we may want to just take a decision based upon a condition, right? So in order to take that decision, we need to have we need to first assess that condition, and whatever the output that particular condition gives, on the basis of that we can just take a decision, right? So the if-else statements are just that. They help us to take the decision, and once the decision is taken, they help us to execute the required set of statements based upon the output. So whenever we are working with the if-else statements, we need to have strong knowledge of the comparison and the logical operators. The comparison operators are needed because we may want to just compare the values, and the logical operators are needed because there may be situations where we want to just combine the different comparison operators, and ultimately the final result is what we use in the decision making process. So let us just quickly take a look at the different comparison operators once again that we have, because in the previous video we just briefly took a look at them, right? So the first comparison operator is this is known as the greater than symbol. It is used to check if the left hand side value is greater than the right hand side or not. If it is the case, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Next we have this statement, this symbol, which is known as the less than symbol. It is used to check the value of the left hand operand is less than the value of the right hand operand or not. If the value of left hand operand is less, then it returns true. Then we have a greater than equal to sign, which is used to return true if the value of the left hand operand is greater than, or if it is equal to the value of the right hand operand. Otherwise, if it is less than the right hand operand, then we get a false in this case. Similarly, we have the fourth comparison operator known as the less than and equal sign, which is used to check if the value of the left hand operand is less than or if it is equals to the value of the right hand operand. If it is the case, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Then we have the other comparison operator, which is known as not equals to operator, which is used to check that whether the two values are not equal to each other. So suppose let us just understand it with the help of an example. If we just write 3 not equals to 2, so the condition is correct, which means yes, 3 is not equals to 2. In this case, true will be returned. However, if we just change it slightly, that 2 not equals to 2, then in this case false will be returned by this operator. Okay, so this is how this not equals to operator works. We have an opposite operator of this not equals to operator, which is the double equal to operator, which is used to check that whether the two values are equal or not. So suppose we write 2 double equals to 2, then in this case true will be returned by this operator. However, if we write something like 2 double equals to 3, in this case false be returned by this operator. So these are the different comparison operators. The logical operators, although we have seen them, let us just quickly recap it. The logical operators we have is the AND operator, which is represented by these two ampersand symbols. It returns true only if both the conditions are true. Then we have the OR operator, which is represented by the double pipe sign. It returns true if either of the conditions are true. Then last but not the least, we have a NOT operator, which is represented by this exclamation symbol, and simply it is used to just toggle the values of the condition. Whatever value we have, it is just used to toggle. So for true we get false, and for false we get true, right? So this is how these things work. The logical and the comparison operators work. Now let us just see the if-else statements. So if-else statements are starting from here. These are actually the conditional statements or the decision-making statements. They test a condition, and the condition that they check is usually the Boolean condition, and on the basis of that they help us to perform the operations. Okay, so if the condition is true, whatever code we write in the if block will be executed. However, if we have evaluated the condition to be false, then the code of the else block will be executed. So we will be taking a very simple example. First of all, we will be taking suppose age. Let us take a variable age and just initialize it with say 21. So we are going to check that if the age is greater than or equals to 18, we can print a message that you are an adult now. Okay, that's a simple message that we are going to print. So we will use this if statement. In this if statement, this is the syntax. You first write the if statement. In the parentheses, you specify the condition. That is whatever condition you want to check. So you can simply write if age is greater than equals to 18, because this is what we are going to check. Now, in case this condition evaluates to true, then what set of statements we need to execute needs to be enclosed in these curly braces. Now, whatever statements we write over here is known as the body of if statement, and you can write as many valid Java statements in it as you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply just print that you are an adult, like this. Okay, that's a simple message that I'm going to print, nothing else. Now let us just run it. On running, what do we get? You are an adult. Why? Because we got the age as 21. Let us now just change our year to say 12. We just change our age to 12 years. Okay, then what happens if we just run it? Then no output. Why? Because this condition evaluates to false. That is why this statement is not executed. This is the usage of the if statement. That is, whatever the statements are enclosed, they will be executed only if this condition evaluates to true. In case this condition evaluates to false, then these statements will not be executed. So what will happen if this condition evaluates to false? We can just specify another set of statements, but these set of statements must be initialized or specified inside this else statement. So if this condition is false, then these statements will be written over here, which is body of else statement or the else block, right? So in this case, when the age is less than 18 years, so what we can do is we can print a message that you are a child, right? So now if we just run it, since the age has the value 12, the age variable has the value 12, which is less than 18, which means this condition evaluates to false. So this set of statements are executed, which is the else statements, that you are a child. Otherwise, if this condition evaluates to true, that is if we get 18 or anything bigger than 18 as the input, then we get you are an adult as the output. Okay. Now there is one more thing that we can do is suppose in a boolean variable, we can just take a boolean variable, say b, and we can just store this whole condition in this boolean variable. We can just remove it from here and store it here. Now what happens is whatever the output is, it will be stored in the boolean variable, and instead of writing the condition, we can simply just write the boolean variable b. So whatever the value of this boolean variable is, according to that, this whole if else statement will work. Like if we just keep it as 12, the age is 12, so you are a child. Suppose if we just get the age to say 21 once again, then what happens is we are getting you are an adult as the output. So that's how the if else statements work. But this is kind of a very specific approach. Like you have to change the value of the age variable and you already know what is going to be the output. The generalization for this program can occur in the fact that we can prompt the user to enter his age. Whatever the user enters as his age will be taken as the input in the age variable, and that will be checked ultimately. So how can we just check it? How can we work with it? Let's see. We first need to use a scanner class for this purpose, as we have already seen, and we have also imported this util.scanner package already. So let us just create an object of the scanner class. Okay, so here what do we have? So here how it is going to work: first scanner object is created, then we get a message enter age, then we are supposed to enter our age. So here we can see that we enter 23, so we are getting the output you are an adult. If we just run it once again, then we are again supposed to enter our age. So let us enter 12, we get you are a child. So that's how these if else statement works. That's all for this video. In this video, we are going to continue our discussion which we started in the previous video, that is about the if and the else statements. So in the previous video, we saw that how can we just use a very simple condition of age, and we can check if the on the basis of the age entered, that if the person is adult or a child. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are just going to take a look at another simple example using this if else statement only. So here what we are going to take is num as a variable. We are going to prompt the user to enter any number, and on the basis of that when the user enters the number, we are going to just first accept this num. Now one interesting thing to note is we have used this next int function or next int method. This means that we are expecting an integer type of input from the user. That is why we have a special method known as next int method, right? So this will just convert the user input into integer and will store this integer value into num variable, which is exactly what we wanted, right? So on the basis of the number entered, we need to check that whether the entered number is even or odd. So even or odd, that's what we are going to check. So first of all, what we will do is just divide this number by 2, and if we just get 0 as the remainder, that means that particular number is even. Otherwise, if we just get 1 as the output on dividing the number by 2, if we get 1 as the remainder, that means that number is odd. So this is the simple logic that we need to implement. So let us just implement this logic. We have already studied about an operator known as the modulus operator, which returns the output as in the form of the remainder to us. So we just divide num modulus 2. Now what happens is there are two ways through which we can solve this condition actually. See, this is num divide modulus 2. It will return either 0 or 1. So what we can do is either can take a integer variable r and store it in num and store the result in this r. Then in the case of the if condition, we can check that if r is double equals to 0, then in that case we can just print the message as say even. Otherwise what we can do is just print the message as odd. Okay, right. So this is one of the ways through which we can solve it. So first of all, we are supposed to enter a number. We suppose enter 44. So we get even. Again, if we just run it, then we are again supposed to enter a number. This time I enter 41. So I get odd as the answer. This is one condition or one way of solving this problem. The other way is you can just store this whole condition. You can just perform a whole condition and store it in a boolean variable, say b. So in b, what we will be storing is we are expecting a boolean output that is either true or false. So that means we need to use the comparison operator. Whenever we are expecting any kind of boolean output, either the comparison operator or the logical operators are used. So in this case, we will be using comparison operator. How? Firstly, we will just use this r, that if r is double equals to 0, then ultimately whatever the result is will be stored in this boolean variable, and we can simply just check the value of this boolean variable in this if condition. So what will this do? This will help us to just perform the operations over here, and only the condition checking will be done in the if with the if statement. So if we just run it, there will be no difference that we will see in executing our program. It will be same. It will be simple, like 42 we can just give. So we are getting even, and with an odd number we are getting odd. But this is the implementation logic that is different over here. Okay, so that is how you can just perform different kinds of implementation logics. These are these different techniques. Using any of these techniques you can easily get the output, but which technique you are going to use totally depends upon you. Whichever you think is the best for yourself, you can use it. Now this was about the if-else statements. We have some more statements in Java, that is if-else-if statements. So what happens in this if-else statements, as you can see, only one condition is being checked, right? But if we use the if-else-if statements, then what happens is we can check multiple conditions for them. So using the if-else-if statements, we can just check multiple conditions. Let's just see how can we work with it. First of all, let us just take a look at an example. But before that, what we are going to do is we can just comment out this whole part, right? So one interesting or one simple way to comment out things is you can just select it, go to source, and there is this toggle comment option. So you can just write this, and all these things that are written will be commented out, right? So basically what code we are having now is we have declared this num variable, and then we are accepting the input from the user in this num variable. Okay, so the example for this if else statement we are going to take is to check if the number is positive, or if the number is negative, or the number is 0. So there are three kinds of numbers possible. Either it can be positive, either it can be negative, or either it can be 0. Why all these three can be stored in this integer variable? Because integers have the range or have the capacity to store negative, positives and zeros as well, right? So let us now just see that how can we work with it. So we have taken the input from the user. First of all, we will just check this number. So we have a condition. I'm just going to directly implement the condition in this if statement. But if you find any difficulty in doing so, you can just store the condition firstly in the boolean variable and then use the boolean variable in the if condition. Okay, so I'm going to check that if the value of num is greater than 0. If the value of num is greater than 0, it means that the number is positive, because the only two possibilities are either the number is greater than 0, or either the number is less than 0, or the number is double equals to 0, right? So in this case, I will get the output as, let us just copy the system.out.println statement. So let us just copy it and paste it. So in this case, we can just give a message that the number is positive. Okay. Otherwise, what we need to do is we need to check another condition, right? We cannot just go like, if the number is not positive, we cannot say that whether it is negative or 0. So for this, we have two possibilities. Now the number can either be negative or the number can either be 0 as well. This means we need to check another condition. So we use another if statement along with this else statement. And in its condition part, we provide another condition. Now we are going to check that if the value of num is less than 0. So if the value of num is less than 0, this means the num is going to be negative, or the number is going to be negative number. So for this, we can just print a message negative over here, right? Now if in the case we have provided 0, then this first condition will evaluate to false, which means that this condition will return the boolean value false. So it will go into the else part. Now in this else part, we again have a condition. This condition will again be evaluated, and again it will evaluate to false. Why? Because we have entered 0 as the number. So the final else part, or the final part, is this else statement, where we will just print the output that the number you have entered is 0. Right. So this is the simple if else statement example, which you can use to check the number if it is positive, negative, or 0. Now let's just try to run it and see if it works correctly or not. So firstly, I'm just providing a positive input. Let us just provide 78. We get positive. First condition is evaluated to true. That is why we get this output, right? Next, what we do is, again, let us just check with a negative number. So suppose we write minus 90, then we get negative as the answer. Why? Because this condition evaluates to false, so it goes to the else part. In this, there is another condition that if num is less than 0. So in this case, when we provided minus 90 as the input, this condition evaluates to true and we get negative as the answer. For the final testing, what we can do is just enter 0. So we get 0. How it works, I have already explained you. So this is how you can just use multiple conditions to just bring out the output. So this is one way of using multiple conditions. Actually, we used only 2 conditions here, but it is not mandatory. You can use as many conditions as you want, right? So that's all for this video. In the next video, we will work with the ternary operator and the nested if-else statements. Thanks for watching.